could not be more delighted to have this fabulous-looking group of young people in front of us today. I have to say a special thank you to Jen Carter. She is from the Craft Academy of Math and Science at Morehead State University. The assistant director there has worked very closely with me to bring her young people to us. Also, Sabrina Miller from the Perry Central High School was fabulous in helping us have two young ladies from there. And then we also worked with Coach Philip Hayward from Belfry. And the coach was fabulous in helping us to identify these young folks who some have been on videos that have now gone on YouTube. And so you're seeing stardom right here today as well as a part of that secret sauce of the future. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we can't talk about broadband without knowing why we're doing it. And for those of us at our age, I'm kind of like someone said earlier, I just soon not spend any time on my phone or my computer. I'd rather be outside digging in the dirt any day of the week. But that's not going to help Eastern Kentucky be a productive place for my child or your children or your grandchildren, these young people, to grow up where they could actually dig in the dirt if they wanted to for part of their time. And just as farm to market roads were so important to Eastern Kentucky to get people to the marketplace, to get people to where they could have jobs, high-speed, true high-speed broadband connectivity is an absolute must. And Jared Arnett said it so succinctly once, and I've quoted him many times. When we think about the challenges that Eastern Kentucky faces, if we think about the many needs, whether it's health care or whether it's education or whether it's job creation, if you think about how to make Eastern Kentucky a better place to call home, if not broadband, what? What other single item can have as broad effect on every segment of our community as connecting to the global marketplace and helping people make sure that folks outside of Eastern Kentucky know the value of what is inside Eastern Kentucky. And so in order for you to do that, you have to be thinking constantly about what is the future going to be. And Mark mentioned the Internet of Things. I've got to tell you, I think it's scary as heck that somebody's going to be driving down the road, transcontinental, in a big tractor trailer with no driver in it. Or going through Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, with driverless vehicles. And everything we own is connected to something else. It's connected to something else. And this is the way, just think about how impossible that future looks. Because think about what you do today, and everyone in you here living off of that little phone, and what your parents would think about you doing that. It was beyond their imagination to conceive of what that phone means to you today, every hour of the day. And it is just as unimaginable to those of you that are sitting in businesses, local leadership, economic development organizations, chambers, to think about what they are going to need in order to be productive citizens of this country, and particularly of Eastern Kentucky and the Commonwealth. And so it is today that I'm very proud to introduce this group of young people, and what I have asked them to do is make an opening statement. So I'm going to introduce them very briefly, and then they will make an opening statement, and then we will go into discussion, and then you get the chance to ask them some tough questions. I'm going to begin with Nadia Richardson. She is at the Craft Academy Senior from Knott County, where she attended Knott County Central High School. And after she graduates, Nadia plans to stay at Morehead State University, Mayor, I know you're glad to hear that, and pursue a degree in dentistry. After dentistry, she hopes to continue her studies further to become an oral surgeon and have her own practice in Eastern Kentucky. Now, I've asked the students to respond to what, in your opinion, how the internet affects your generation and your future. Nadia, tell us what you think.
Well, I just want to start it off by saying thank you so much for having us here. I really appreciate the opportunity. And just to recap, I am from Knott County, and I am a dual enrolled student at the Craft Academy and Knott County Central High School. The Craft Academy is a residential scholarship for juniors and seniors in high school who are interested in studying STEM. And we go to college 2 years early at Morehead State University. And I am a student there, a senior, like she had said, and I sometimes have online classes. I've had multiple since I've been enrolled at the Craft Academy, and I am a current resident in Thompson Hall on the campus as well. And the Wi-Fi there is doable, you know, like you can do your coursework, and you usually have some glitches, but not very many. But I love going home because I love Eastern Kentucky. And sometimes it's difficult for me to do so because of the internet connection that I have at home, which I've spoken to my dad recently, and he says it has gotten better. But sometimes it's very difficult for me to do my online coursework. To have classes online or any college campus or any school, you need Blackboard, which requires quality internet, especially because so many students are using it. And sometimes I have work that's due and I have to plan around my weekend and my coursework if I want to go home to visit my family. And that's just a really big struggle that we have. And sometimes, like, if I miss an assignment or I turn it in late, that's on me. They don't have the understanding that you live in Eastern Kentucky, you have the struggle of bad internet connection. So sometimes it's a 50-50 chance of whether or not to go home and to have a slight chance of being able to turn in your work, or to stay and miss your family but still get your work done. And most of the time I choose the second one because academics is very important. But like I said, I want to be an oral surgeon, so my future goals is to start my own practice and in Eastern Kentucky, which I hope for. And sometimes I consider doing it elsewhere because of the internet connection, because it's becoming a necessity for anybody that wants to start their own business. And that's just something that anybody has to consider whenever they look at going to a more rural area in Kentucky or any other state. So it's just things like that that makes you consider that quality internet is a necessity and we need it in Eastern Kentucky.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to go to Alex Vermillion. He is also a member of the Craft Academy. He is a senior. He is from Perry County, where he attended Hazard High School. And after he graduates, Alex plans to major in chemical engineering. After college, he plans to join a company that makes better biodegradable plastics. But wouldn't it be nice if he did that company in Eastern Kentucky? Alex, welcome.
Yes, most definitely. I just want to start off with growing up in Eastern Kentucky, I found many advantages to it. You'll be shopping in Walmart, you know, and you'll see your best friend, or movies don't always sell out on the very first night. And the communities here just have a hospitality that you cannot beat. It's the small things about Eastern Kentucky that I love. But growing up here has a big disadvantage too, and it's our internet. It's normal here to be paying for a strong internet and not receive it. It's normal here to have your internet just drop out unexpectedly sometimes. The Eastern Kentucky communities here are often overlooked by internet providers simply because they don't see us as a big problem compared to bigger cities. Strong, reliable internet can greatly impact the communities around. Eastern Kentucky can begin by starting to reach out and creating connections. Similar to Nadia, I've come home on weekends to Hazard, and I will have homework that's due. And I remember one time I had a 3-page paper, and I was submitting it, and it would not upload to Blackboard. And 15 minutes before the deadline was due, I got it submitted. But that could have easily affected my grade and dropped it by like an entire letter. So a lot of times I decide not to come back home whenever I have homework. And I hate not coming back because I love seeing my friends and family here. And internet should not ever do this. And it happens to college students, high school students all around in Eastern Kentucky. And with a more reliable internet, this problem would not be an issue anymore.
Great job. Thank you. You would think I wrote their scripts, wouldn't you? But they wrote them themselves. Let's skip over to Perry County. Vada Miller is a native to Perry County. She is a senior at Perry Central High, involved in varsity sports, soccer, tennis, also a governor and a member of the Rogers Scholars. Yay, Lonnie, you'll love that. After high school, she will proceed on to Eastern Kentucky University to study emergency medicine and then further her education through medical school. Vada, tell us why you think internet is important.
As we all know, our world revolves around technology, especially in our classrooms. As a senior, most of my classes are online, and when we're in a rural area at home, it's very hard to, like they said, to upload and give papers to your professors. Bringing high-speed broadband to our community can definitely make a difference in our modern education. Not only that, it's a building block for my hometown to expand and prosper. Bringing in new jobs to the area. After getting my professional degree, I plan to come back to the area and work with the people. With this, I hope that we'll be able to access the new, fast, more efficient internet speed, allowing me to return to Hazard Perry County. It's a disservice to the people of Perry County not offering the advances in technology as compared to someone who lives in a more urban area like Louisville or Lexington. I love the people of Eastern Kentucky, and I'm proud to be from this small town. And I would love nothing more to see this town prosper and grow. I also understand how businesses are created to make money and profit. Logistically, it may not be the greatest interest of company to provide a small town with such of their services, but if you want this town to grow and have more income and lower the employment rates, we'll have to get better internet.
Good job. Thank you. All right. Now let's jump over to, we have someone from Belfry High School. That's way out next to West Virginia in Pike County, for those you might not know. Lindsay Coleman. She's an active member of STLP, the Alpha, the Mu Alpha Theta. You'll have to explain what all those things are. Didn't have those in Adair County. National Honor Society and Parates. And after she graduates from high school, Lindsay plans to go to Eastern Kentucky University and double major in computer science and mathematics. Oh my, Lindsay.
So, as she said, I'm a member of STLP, which is Student Technology Leadership Program. So, internet plays a key role in that. STLP takes quite a bit of my time as a senior in high school. And I'm actually president of STLP, so even more time with that.
Put the microphone a little closer to you.
Okay.
Thank
All of our projects in STLP, they require access to internet, so internet is quite a bit in STLP. And then Mu Alpha Theta is a math honor society, so that's basically all that is. But back to internet being a key role for like students in general, as someone mentioned, classes are online now, like a lot of them are. I only have one online, and that is for my second period, which is a game development course, which is teaching us how to code and use Unity. And so basically, if we do not have access to internet, because sometimes the internet goes down at school, then we can't do anything in that class, and so we fall behind. As well as that, there's like, just in general, like there's a ton of dual credit classes at Belfry. Like the dual credit college algebra and the dual credit college English, those both require access to internet because you have to submit your assignments online and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you very much. Caroline, it's a little bit of a different perspective. Caroline O'Neill is a Craft Academy senior, but Caroline came from Fayette County to Morehead to attend Morehead University. She graduated from Lafayette High School, and after finishing her final year at Craft, Caroline plans to pursue a degree in aeronautical engineering with a minor in math or computer science. After college, she hopes to work for an organization where she can design future space modules or research reentry strategies. Her dream is to work at SpaceX. Caroline.
So, as you said, it's a little bit different for me. So, transitioning from a city in Fayette County where the internet service is quick and reliable to Morehead and Brown County where the internet is not as quick was a change I did not realize that was going to have such an impact on my life. As I am a student, being able to receive information in a timely fashion is essential. Education is based on research and discovering new concepts and ideas, with new information being found every second. Having available internet access puts all that information in the student's hands in a few simple clicks. Not only does internet make information available, but it also connects people around the world. In my life, I've traveled around the world and I've also experienced people close to me move to places far away. With the internet, those faraway places don't seem as far. Over the summer, a group of people from my school had the opportunity to go visit China. Of those people, some of those were my friends, and I like to communicate with them through Skype or another video service. But sometimes I noticed the connection wasn't as reliable and cut out, or even the call dropped. And this was really disappointing and really frustrating. And this also got me thinking to my future. So most jobs now, especially the job I hope to have in the future, have international relations. If I'm not able to talk to my coworkers on the other side of the globe quickly, there could be colossal damage or the job could ultimately fail. In some fields, a couple milliseconds can be the difference between a success and a failure. Reliable and fast internet is imperative to a student and could affect the futures of many. Good internet can open doors and lead us to new discoveries and could maybe even help someone change the world forever. I hope that I'm here to see those changes made, and creating a better internet is a step in the right direction. Everyone needs the same service, whether you are in a large city or a small town.
Good job, and welcome to Eastern Kentucky, Caroline. So then let's go back to Perry County. Hannah Daniels. Hannah is a junior at Perry Central High. She hopes to attend Morehead. I don't know, Mayor, you really got a corner on this recruitment. Majoring in science and to attend a program in the medical field after college. Hannah, why is broadband important to you?
I'd like to start by saying that I'm very, very thankful to have grown up in Eastern Kentucky. I love it. I love its people. But there's obviously many deficiencies that we face here, and one of them being the internet. Having access to high-speed internet would open so many doors for the people of our area. My generation struggles when deciding where to start their lives due to the deficiencies we face. This internet would open many opportunities for jobs. We are often kicked off the internet in our homes when one of us is on Netflix and the other is trying to access Snapchat. High-speed internet would allow us to have access to technology we have not had access to before, making it more suitable to return to the area and give back to our people by starting our career here at home.
Thank you. And then, last but certainly not least, our The Digital Divide in America documentary star, and also one who would challenge, I think, many of us in this room in the understanding of technology, is Thomas Hager. He attends Belfry High School. He has a Microsoft HTML5 certification, a 2-year STL member, and was on Without the Net, The Digital Divide in American documentary. So Thomas, tell us your opening statement on the need for broadband.
Yes, broadband is very, very important to any community, because any community that has members that want to focus in any sort of technical field or even get on the internet every single day will need access to higher speed internet. In my area, the highest speed provided is 3 megabits down and less than 512 kilobits up. So to put that in perspective, 3 people live in my home, and 3 megabits split beyond 3 people is not enough to do anything. I'm an avid gamer. I play a lot. I play a lot of games, but I am used to getting 200 milliseconds worth of ping in every single server I connect to. Now, 200 milliseconds makes a lot of a difference when you're talking about back and forth connection between a server, because that can cause high packet loss. And with high packet loss, the server has no idea where you are. And I do a lot of programming in my spare time as a sort of a hobby, and also training for when I go to college. And ironically, whenever I was going to the website for this very event, my internet choked and it took me a good 10 minutes to load the website page. The irony of that's not lost on me. But access to high-speed internet would improve my life so much more and would decrease the struggle with dealing with low-speed internet. The speeds that I get from the DSL that we get from AT&T aren't even listed on the online listings for standard internet speeds, and even on the main AT&T website, they don't list the speeds that we get. They sort of completely forgot about our area, and there's no other alternative because there's zero competition in our area.
Excellent points. And so those of you that are providers, think about how savvy your customers are going to be in the future. There might be a few of us that could ping every now and then. I think I did it once, but couldn't do it again. But that's how savvy your people are going to be. They know what you're selling them and what you're giving them and what the difference is in that. And so have you ever challenged that, Thomas? Have you ever called up your provider and said, I'm not getting this, reduce my bill?
I've never openly challenged them simply because I'm afraid that they would just pull service completely.
And then you have no choice.
Yeah, then we have just zero connection whatsoever, but there's been multiple occasions where I've made sure that there's zero internet being used in our house, and I've pinged and tested what our actual speeds are. And even with the 3 megabit that we pay for, we never get full 3 megabit. It simply doesn't happen. Most of the time, we drop by around 25%, and packet loss shoots as high as 20%.
I think you should adjust your bill next month by 25% downward. Would be you have to think about how to be proactive on some of this thing. You can't just understand it all. You got to take some of the ownership of this, right? You got to bring change. You got to be that leader. Okay, one of the things that we are recommending to local communities, Lonnie Lawson and Larry and myself, and out of these broadband workshops, is that because it is so technical, that local communities, they'll have a lot of resources. They'll have a Thomas, or they'll have a Nadia, or someone that understands what they need to have, or maybe Caroline, who has lived in Fayette County or whatever. But we said, you've got resources. Make yourself and create a local board, and let that board help advise you as a community leader on what the needs of the community. There's a lot of benefits from that board. But one of the things that we have also suggested is that they put a youth on that board, on that local broadband board. So my question to you, each of you, or whoever wants to answer, it doesn't have to be everybody, is that a good idea, number one? And if so, why is that a good idea for communities to have a local board and to have a youth person sit on that board? So that's part number one. Then I'll come back with number two. Anybody want to volunteer to answer that question? Is that a good idea for local boards to put have a youth representation on it?
I think that would actually be a very smart idea because, once again, our generation is the future. And so what you guys are doing today will affect us later on. And I think that somebody that will have that effect should also be on that board.
It's very good for there to be a representative for anything that affects that specific group of people. If you have a decision being made that will affect a certain group of people, that group of people should be there to represent themselves.
So a healthcare representative and a public education representative, youth, those kinds of business, the chamber, whatever, those kinds of things. Okay, some recommendations, folks. So let me ask you then, would you be willing to sit on that board? And then how do you think that would impact your time, your studies? Is that something that you'd be willing to commit yourself to? And do you think you could make a difference? Who wants to volunteer?
I would definitely want to be on this board because I strongly believe in having a student's perspective. Just because things are always changing, like we said, it's time to adapt. And we have a perspective, especially as us, we're about to go to college or we're taking dual enrolled classes. So that's a perspective they might not even consider because they might be seeing it merely on a business standpoint or something else. But we have also opportunities that we could lose if we did not have good internet. And I think the board's an excellent idea, and I think it would be very beneficial.
And you'd be willing to serve.
Yes, I
Anyone
would.
else want to answer that question?
I would absolutely be willing to serve on that committee.
They wouldn't let you serve, Thomas. How many of you have watched a recent television show sitting around on the sofa in the family room watching TV?
Yeah.
Not you old folks. These.
Yes.
Yes, you have. So you do watch TV.
Yes.
You know, like 45% of college kids never watch TV anymore. They only get all their TV where? Yeah, on the computer. Right, okay.
I consider that TV.
Oh, there's the aha. Her Netflix is what she considers TV. You remember my generation said, oh, I'm not going to raise children that are raised on a TV as a babysitter. Any of the rest of you remember that? Not going to let my kids sit in front of TV all the time. The computer is the TV of the day. They don't watch TV anymore. And Mark was talking earlier about when we used to try to bring in satellite TVs, you know, to Eastern Kentucky. We called them the Eastern Kentucky Wildflower, those big satellites that sit out in everybody's yard. And so today, that's something we have seen change. And yet, they consider TV on their Netflix, okay? But of the entertainment, and Thomas, I'm going to carve out for you that gaming is not entertainment, because tell us what you want to do in your career.
I'm wanting to become a game dev.
A game what?
A game dev. Game developer.
A game
Sorry.
dev, a game developer. Okay, go ahead.
But it's something I've been interested in ever since I was a little kid. Ever since I first got like one of the first PC games, I would go into the files of where it's installed and basically take a complete product and deconstruct it until I understood what made up it.
And where are the best game dev jobs?
I see what you're getting at with the question. There are no facilities in Kentucky right now that would be a place that I could work. So if in the future, after I finish college, I will probably have to move out of Kentucky.
And what does a good game dev make on an annual salary range?
Starting salary for most game devs is around $80K a year, and it can go as high as $150K.
And what's the starting salary for a school teacher in the Commonwealth of Kentucky these days? Think about that. So the question then that I was getting at, in terms of your future, do you want to come back to Eastern Kentucky and live and raise your family? And if you, and it's okay if you don't, all right, but if you do, what chance do you think you have of being successful here?
As it stands, there's not much of a chance to be able to come back and still.
We've
be
already
able
shipped
to-
you to California. Go
But,
ahead. I'm picking on you.
But there's not much of a chance at the moment. Of course, internet's a huge limitation. That's one of the reasons why businesses won't want to come here, especially game dev businesses. I would argue game development businesses are ones that need the highest amount of bandwidth, just simply because in modern day games, simple models can go upwards without compression. They can go upwards of 1 gigabyte worth of space, and they can't afford to have that like 2-hour send time for 1 gigabyte. They need to have it right then.
Okay. Hannah, do you want to come back here?
I would like to come back here when I get done with school, but I love Eastern Kentucky. But at the same time, I would not want to come back to a place where I feel like I would be limited. I would love for us to have broadband so that there's not as many deficiencies here, and so that we can have opportunities that young people have elsewhere. So yes, I would love to come back here.
Alex, you just look like a businessman in the making, I tell you.
Thank you.
Tell us what that means to you.
Well, I believe that after college, I will try and go to California and get a job for chemical engineering. And I would love to come back to Eastern Kentucky if there was opportunities for me, but right now in that area, there isn't for chemical engineers. And I think one of the key roles is once again the internet. I think the internet in Eastern Kentucky can greatly affect what kinds of jobs are coming through here.
Vada, let's switch just a bit here. So, you like Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I'm a binge watcher.
Oh, you're a binge watcher. So, because I was going to try to make the point that college students don't really want broadband for fun, they really need it. So,
For Netflix. No, I'm
for,
just kidding.
oh yeah, for Netflix. So, how much time do you spend using your computer for entertainment versus how much time do you spend using your computer for your academics?
And like computer, like with phone too, right?
What your technology? How
Any-
should I? Yeah.
Oh, like how many hours a day I use it?
Well, just compare the fun
I don't know.
versus the real world work. The work versus the fun.
Oh, well, the work versus, oh, definitely. I spend my first period is definitely all online. She submits the assignments, and then I have to type it out on my computer and then send it in. And then my second period is also online class. My third period is also online class. And my fourth period, I think, just watch movies. It's arts and humanities. But anyway, that doesn't make any sense. But during the day, during school days, definitely, I use it over 50% of the time. And then I come home and they have homework and stuff. So about 30% at home if I do it, you know.
If you do your homework,
Yeah,
right.
I'm just kidding, but I think it's about 30% at home I'll probably use on work, like school. I mean, nowadays I have to apply to colleges and stuff, so I guess like 45% at home.
Because all the college application things are online, right?
Yes, everything's online.
Lindsay, you lived are you in Belfry proper? Where you grew up in Belfry proper? Do you miss many days of school because in high school, did you miss many days of school because of snow or weather?
It depends on the year. Like last year, we didn't really miss that much, but then like a couple of years ago, we missed like 2 months.
Right.
And like we had to go all the way, like we had like probably a solid month of a summertime. And
Almost all summer.
yeah.
So was your school able to conduct any classwork during that period of time through the internet with the use, because you're in Belfry proper, for the lack of, so were you, even in that more urban area of Pike County, or condensed demographic area, was your school able to do any work at all during that 2 months?
So like I'm trying to think. My sophomore year is whenever we kind of had like the snow day packets. So yes to some people and then no to others. Like me myself, I was able to access it because my internet wasn't blocked out. But then like other people like further down into my hollow, they was not able to access it. So it just kind of like depended on where you were at in the area.
So it's another argument for fiber to the home, full internet access, like People's Rule has done in Boone County, Kentucky, where the students have actually now been able to make up 10 snow days by being taught daily on the internet when the weather is bad. Those are the kind of examples that do exist in the Commonwealth and can exist other places. And Larry, I've gotten carried away. I didn't even watch the time here. Caroline, you're from Fayette County. Are you going back to Fayette County, or have you gotten hooked at all on Morehead, or what's your future?
Well, Morehead is beautiful. I love it there. But the internet there really limits me, and they do have Space Tango in Lexington, so I guess I could come back there. But I'm looking at like bigger things because of the limitations here with internet.
Okay. I've gotten to have all the fun and ask all the questions, and I know we're a little bit behind, but you started us 10 minutes late, Larry. So I want to take any questions from the audience, and I want to also make sure that Daryl Maynard is recognized. He helped me recruit students today, as well as Lonnie Lawson, Center for Rural Development, and Roger Scholars. We have a question over here, so we need a microphone, and I know I've got one of your handhelds.
I'd just be curious to know, obviously you all see the need for broadband internet at home. Your parents pay the bill. Do you think they perceive your needs as well as you do, or do they see it more as entertainment?
My entire family uses the internet. I've shown them the work that I do at home in the past, and they definitely see the need for the internet. They agreed with me in the past whenever I said that the internet's become sort of like a water bill or an electric bill. It's become a necessity as opposed to a luxury.
Well,
Would you want to say something?
I would say that, sorry.
it's okay.
I would say that a lot of it, I think my parents do perceive that I do have a lot of homework a lot of times, especially online homework, and I think that they could see that there is a need for better bandwidth, at our home, and I think it would be really important to them too to see that their child is also excelling on online classes because they can.
Well, my parents also pay my cell phone bill, which is like through the roof with data. So I think they'd rather pay like Wi-Fi to be better, so I didn't have to use the data. But I almost get killed every single month, and from like overusage. So.
Well, that was a good answer. Next question. Next question. Well, I hope we have awakened some thoughts in your minds as you go back to your communities and think about what you're going to do to make. Did Jared have one? I'm sorry. In the back of the room? Yes. The gentleman I quoted earlier, Jared Arnett.
I'll just make a comment, no really question. This is just exciting for me. It's because this is what we talk about all the time. And over the last couple months, I've had a couple credible experiences. One, traveling to MIT and talking about the future of work, and bringing Appalachia into that discussion is just an incredible opportunity. And I was there with Peyton, who was on the panel earlier, and then Mike Cornett and I got to go to a conference hosted by a company called FlexJobs.com, which is like an Indeed, but for remote and flexible type work. And I got to hear a presentation there from the Vice President of Facilities for Cisco Systems. They said, we've increased workforce 20% and reduced our facilities by 30%. So they've got about 72,000 employees. They've closed 229 buildings globally. And they demonstrated this technology they had where they had software engineers co-working on this board with whiteboard that they could all draw, and they were in Sweden, and they did this live at the event, and it just opens your mind to what's possible. And then they talked about by 2020, 50% of the workforce will work remotely, and this for me, I think, just reinforces the idea that what we're trying to do in Appalachia cannot be done without connectivity. We cannot move the needle on poverty. We cannot move the needle on all the other things that we've talked about for so long without the connectivity. So I see nothing but opportunity, and it's awesome. I'm on the fringe of a millennial, so I can kind of relate some level at this and on the work ethic side. And these guys are rock stars, and this generation. The idea for the future of Appalachia is how do we keep the rock stars? And I think this is a critical discussion. And I'm just excited that there's this many people here today. I thank Hilda and the whole crew for putting this together. It's a great event. And I thank the people at the table, most importantly, for talking about the tough issues and being here today. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jared. We appreciate that. Just a closing comment, and you said it also very well, but think about this one thing, too, as you look at this table. These young people were talking about medicine, engineering, math, sciences, space, aeronautics. My generation talked about becoming teachers and nurses. For us women, Jennifer, that was what you aspired to. Look at the demographics. Look at the young ladies that are in those math and science fields. Look at the aspirations to be engineers, to be game developers, all of those things. This is what should motivate you every day when you get up as a provider, as a leader, a teacher in your community, whatever role that you play. whether in the private sector or the public sector, because this is what we have to leave behind for these young people, is a future that they can make those dreams and hopes a reality.